So it's not so much a question of capacity or ability. It's a question of tendency. And if you try and say, well, after how many eons of evolution, or however you want to say things were set up, if you want to say that there's no relevance to gender and gender has no relevance, then you're trying to ignore the whole of human history. And again, whether you look at this from a biological evolutionary standpoint, or whatever standpoint you want to look at it from, I mean, that's like trying to say, oh well, the double helix. That's not necessarily. I mean, things don't have to be in a double helix. No, there's a bit more to it, and so and to kind of bring out this, I mean, she says regarding gender roles and how she says they need to get past gender roles. She says, if gender roles are involved in our parenting, then it's child abuse. This rather cements, in my perception, the fear of setting up the state. I mean, she brings out child protective services as being the authority, and it's just kind of disturbing when, I mean, in China, you have instances where, they find if a person doesn't agree with the Communist Party, there's obviously something wrong with their thinking. I mean, they're obviously impaired up here, because if you're going to go against the government party, then you must be a little loose. So it just, but that's just, I mean, that's even a side thing to this, because I'm just bringing that out because it cements, I mean, when a lot of people on the no-for-profit side say, oh, well, they're throwing this out of proportion with, teaching about same-gender stuff in schools. It's not out of proportion now when you define what is and isn't child abuse on something as fundamental as gender roles. And I'm not talking, again, superficial pant-wearing or capacities in any one given thing. I'm talking about gender roles as in a woman having the capacity to actually, carry a child to full gestation, and then, I mean, there's certain hormones that are far more prominent in females than in males, and vice versa, and the whole the mechanisms, everything in our biology means that there are some fundamental gender roles that you can't just brush over. And if you do brush over, biology will come back, and it will, I mean, it may not be in this generation or next generation that it will be openly visible, but I can take a rose and I can cut it off of the rose plant. I can clip off several leaves and I can stick it in a thing of water, keep it in a cool location, and it can last for a while. You can get a rose to last for quite some time. But that doesn't change the fact that you've disconnected it from the plant, and that you're merely preserving it for cosmetic purposes in the short run. And that is basically what I'm saying will happen with same-gender marriage, that if civilization adopts this, and they do this on the basis of not trying to condemn anyone, this has nothing to do with berating or undermining the choice of a single parent. I mean, it's kind of like, one thing that's really can bring this out is we have laws against violence. We have laws against speeding or irresponsible behavior on the road or what have you. We have all of these laws, but none of these laws gets rid of all of these things. Now, does the fact that it doesn't get rid of these situations make it that it's invalid? The fact that a lot of people don't pay attention to speed limits, does that mean we get rid of speed limits on roads? The fact that we still have fatalities, does that mean we get rid of DUI stuff? If you do, it just increases things. And so this whole idea of, oh well, not everybody can have this ideal, so we don't want to judge anyone, so we're just going to, just open things up for everything. It's a really dangerous mentality, because, I mean, society idealizes things not because it can necessarily enforce them, but it can encourage them. And if you want to go and argue with evolution, or again, whatever means you feel that we arrived at the state we are with genders, you're more than welcome to do that on your own personal basis, but it will, and it has to affect the capacity for you to pass on, whether it's your genetic or your mimetic, which is your ideas and culture, genetic or cultural identity, what you are genetically and culturally. It won't continue on for very long. It can't sustain itself. And it's this kind of survival of the fittest, and the whole of society has a vested interest in ensuring that society continues on the best way. So by setting up ideals, like marriage being between one man and one woman, is simply the furtherance of that. It's not enforcing any ideal, but it is promoting it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's no lack of equality and rights, because marriage isn't just about a relationship between adults. It's about the children, and it's not just about the children being raised to a condition where they'll function well in society. Because again, even civilizations such as Sparta, where the state controlled it, lasted for a while with fully functioning members of its society. We need to not go to the external and the incorrect things that are tied to gender roles. We need to evolve past that. But on the other hand, we can't just ignore gender. It would lead to the collapse of whatever culture or civilization decided to embrace it.